All right, today marks the beginning of hopefully what is a new series of shows on the Packfiller Cycling Network. While some might say the genre of gravel cycling is new to the scene, some might argue that it was the first form of cycling. Regardless of the argument, gravel is here. Bikes are changing constantly to accommodate varied terrains, and getting out on the roads, trails, and even occasional pavement on a gravel bike is truly brilliant. And when it comes to gravel in the Inland Northwest, one word comes to mind. This could be thought of as a kiss up, but I'm going to say it. MoJo. Morgan Johnson is the man behind the region's home for gravel. His perspective, knowledge, experience, and practice are all about the gravel scene. So welcome to the first episode of the MoJo Diaries. And first of all, I want to say with me here is owner of MoJo Cycleries, Morgan Johnson. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be here.
And the other guys around us, you guys should chime in and say, introduce yourselves, because you've been on the show before.
I was drunk, so I don't remember. Okay. My name's Josh.
Guys, you
We're good with
introduce yourselves. Yeah, we're sharing mics here. So
Brett here.
Brett's been on the show before.
Corey.
Luther.
Right on, you guys. Thanks for all being here. And first off, I think congratulations are in order. Today marks an anniversary. Correct?
Yeah, it's definitely a monumental time for us. We're already 4 years into this, so this is MoJo's 4-year anniversary. Awesome sunny day, so we had a ton of people come out, and a lot of people coming from gravel rides to visit us today, ironically enough. So, yeah, awesome to have our 4 years already. It's quick.
Is it true the best way to stop your cycling career is to open a bike shop?
Yeah, I heard somebody say if you want to make $1 million in a bike shop, you better start with 2. So it's yes, it's a crime of passion. It's not something that, it's a crime of passion. I'll just call it that.
Talk to me about how the last year's been for you guys with the industry and all the things that have been going on. Yeah.
Odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's odd. It's challenging because initially at the start of everything, people were forced to get outside, forced to do something outside their routine. So cycling became one of the prevalent options. And we thought, once again, we were going to be in that dollar air category come June time. And then inventory became our issue. So still to this day, inventory is a challenge. And it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. So, yeah, getting bikes, getting products for bikes, all that has just been something that's, it sucks.
Really, yeah. I'm imagining like scenes from the Untouchables where we're going to be like smuggling parts in from Canada or something like that.
We have talked about a little bootlegging issues kind of thing, and getting over that border might be challenging. But
Patience is a virtue is what we keep telling people.
Really? Yeah. You guys were saying just today alone, you probably could have sold 10, 15 plus bikes just from people coming in, showing that initial interest.
Well, easily, and I think what it is once again, it's a sunny day out there, so it gets people off the couch a little bit. They're excited to get out and ride, and so they're like, I want a bike. And it's explaining to them why we can't get them a bike has really been a challenge as well, because not everybody understands the industry and understands that there is an inventory shortage, so that's a challenge.
Shit. So you've been at this, going on for a while here, but some people, in fact, you've been on the show a few times. Some people might not be up to speed on your history. So take me through your cycling background and how the day came that you went, yeah, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. Let's open up a bike shop.
Yeah, well, I think this is roughly my 18th or 19th year in the industry,
wow.
So been at it a while. All of it's been local. I did get my start in kind of a tri-shop, so I was a triathlete for a minute.
Forgiven.
Not a very good one. I'll put that in the queue. Then worked for various shops, did a lot of road racing, did some mountain bike stuff, and then I just kept getting slower and slower, and I wanted to do more exploration versus racing, and I think that's where really getting on a bike that I felt was like the most versatile genre that there is, to go out and we kind of call these adventure bikes or gravel bikes a bike that you leave your house with no plan. And that's the biggest way I would describe it. And that's kind of where our love has been. So riding stuff now that I'm born and raised here and I never even knew existed. So that's kind of been the neat thing for us.
That has been a cool thing. So going from working in the industry and things like that to actually pulling the trigger and deciding to open up your own shop, what motivated that? And especially the gravel focus, was that always an intention? Was like, we're going to open a shop that focuses on this style?
Yeah, Josh and I, cross bikes were there, mountain bike hardtails were, but we always kind of did this similar style riding. Once gravel bikes came out, though, the geometry changed, the technology changed. It was more of it's not a fluke, it's not a fad, it's something that actually makes sense, and you can tell by every single company that's producing massive amounts of gravel bikes at this point. So it was our mission statement and kind of our goal at the start.
I don't like putting my bike on a car and driving to ride the bike.
Yeah.
The best thing about a gravel bike is I can leave from the house, and I hate being told where to go. We always talk about that. It's like we've always done road rides back in the day where we're like, I wonder what's down that dirt road. And a gravel bike allows us to go explore. And we don't leave with a plan. One of our least favorite questions is, where are we going today? Because half the time we don't know. Really? We don't care. We just want to go out and ride and just, hey, tell whoever needs to know we're coming home at this time, maybe. So
it's okay. Yeah. Well, I kind of want to get into that mentality of the whole thing here as we get going. But as I do say on the podcast, gravel isn't the only thing you focus on. We're here in the shop today. I'm seeing mountain bikes around me. I know that you do road sales and things like that.
Definitely. We do everything. And I think what you're seeing though now is, since we're a smaller shop, you got to pick and choose a little bit more.
Yeah.
The road scene's down a little bit. The gravel scene's up. Mountain bikes are up. So that's why you're going to see more of those on there. Plus, I feel like we've built a really good culture out of here. I mean, obviously, the group that's with us on the panel today.
Sure.
Brett, ex-triathlete. We'll call him ex-triathlete. But since he's
I wish this was a video podcast. The look you just gave us, man, it was like, whatever.
He got into gravel with me and everything, and he's done Dirty Kansas now and stuff. Luther, none of us really like to ride with Luther because he goes too fast.
It's not really riding with him. It's like start and end. Yeah. Oh, hey,
gotcha.
How was the ride?
First one there buys beer.
So I do want to mention before I hit record, he came into the room with beer.
He was the first one there.
Damn.
So it's a really neat group, and I think the culture it's more inviting than a lot of other cycling cultures, I'll say.
A lot of people are comparing the gravel, I don't want to say movement, but, the gravel scene right now to what mountain biking was in the late 80s, early 90s and thing like that. I remember going to, World Cup mountain bike races and the guys would finish and they'd have a beer. Not anymore. And I'm already jumping way too far ahead of myself. That's why I usually stick to the notes, but fuck it. Is there a fear of USA Cycling's going to show up? Is there a fear of commercialization's going to show up?
I think it's already happened.
Are people going to take the fun out of it?
But I think it comes down to, like, Morgan and I, the biggest thing that we're passionate about this, and it's because when people ask what most shops have a weekly ride during the normal time, when life is normal, and we look forward to the gravel rides most because there's just it's almost like choose your own adventure each time.
Yeah.
And it's more welcoming. I don't care how skilled someone is on a bike. I just want them to come out and have fun. And that's the thing. It's pure. It's simple. You just got to come out and pedal with us. And there's always help on finding out where the route is. But we want people to just come out and have fun. Don't worry about how fast you're going. Don't worry. Just pedal.
It is interesting, though, because I do see the race side taking its toll on it. And there's I can't remember who brought it up, but there was something there like, well, we're going to go out to this course, and it's going to be a looped course, but it's going to be a gravel ride, but it's going to be a time-looped course. And I'm like, oh, so a cross race. And so I'm like, that's rebranding something with a already known name. So I don't think the racing thing's bad because I think people ride road bikes for fun, but people race road bikes. So I think there's a time and place for everything. There's a place for everything that way.
Yeah, and with formerly Dirty Kansas Unbound Gravel, things like that. Those events grow; they get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I guess the name has changed on that, right?
It has,
Because
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So those events are obviously a gigantic. I mean, that they're selling out and all this sort of stuff.
For sure.
But I like your mentality that you spoke of there, Josh, when you're talking about just show up and ride. Cycling's had a huge elitism problem. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of it stems from the road scene. But I've dealt with it in my mountain bike scene. You know, I show up at a start line at a mountain bike race and I hear the guys busting my balls because I'm on a hardtail, you know, or something.
If you can't
like
jump a 20-foot gap, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
But,
So it's like, you know, it's the same. It's going to be that way. And I mean, is there a matter of time before we start having gravel elitism?
Well, I think it's already here, but at the same time, elitism rolls into anything. I mean, it crops up. You give anybody something that they can compete on, I don't care what it is.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take a bike to make competition pop out. What it makes me smile the most is in this past year, because of the lockdown or the lack of races, we had people, say a good group of people that finally took time to enjoy a bike are triathletes.
Yeah.
A lot of times that they're so focused on training, which is awesome, but because they had no races, they're like, well, what are we going to do?
And it's viewed as a good cross train as well.
Yeah. So we were talking to them like, hey, you can keep your fitness, you can do, but let's throw in some, so to speak, muscle confusion. We've got people on gravel bikes and they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I could do this. And really that's the beauty of these bikes, is you can go as extreme or as simple as you want. And as Spokane grows, it's amazing how different riding on the road is from 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Things are getting crowded.
When people think about just pure safety, that is one of the single biggest selling features of a gravel bike, is like, hey, you can get away from cars going 80 miles an hour down a road that they're not supposed to riding a backcountry road that you're going to get the same overall workout. You're going to get the same training, and you're also going to see some new spots. I mean, I wasn't born and raised here, but it's fun when I'm riding with Morgan. He's like, dude, I didn't know this was over here. And I'm what do you mean? You could have driven this like when you were in your teens. He's like, no, I've never been over here. And that to me is the coolest thing, because there's never a dull moment on a gravel ride.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of the discussion about road safety and things like that. I mean, I was on a ride today on the road, and I was recalling the fact that, Jesus, I don't remember this many cars on this road, you know, and I've been riding it my whole life. And but then again, I've also been on a gravel road in the middle of nowhere and had some guy in a big dually roll coal on me, and I'm inhaling his fuel for 5 miles, you know, so we're going to get a little bit of both. You know, it's not like it you know, it solves everything. But I agree with you. There are times when I'm out in the middle of nowhere on roads that I've never even knew existed, and you don't see anybody. You know, your biggest challenge is an occasional dog, you know, off of a leash or something like that. But so the big question is gravel new, or has it always been here?
I think it potentially could have always been here, depending where you're riding. I mean, maybe Farmer John has been riding bikes on a gravel road forever. I think what you're seeing now is the actual technology take shape. There's things that definitely make sense in gravel bikes that would have not in the past. And we become quite snobbish in that regard, because we get to build and ride everything, so we know the progression of the technology. And so I think that's the biggest thing. You'll get people that are like, I only need my 28s on my road bike, I can ride anything. But the shit we do up in mountains with these gravel bikes, I mean, granted, we're not sending 40-foot gaps, but it is very technical riding. I like to call it technical, keep your tires on the ground riding.
Most of the time.
Unless you're some of our friends.
Says the guy nursing a bad shoulder.
Allegedly, yeah. So most
Allegedly.
of these guys on the panel here, yeah. We've all taken our fair share of tumbles. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of technical stuff we do. There's a lot of wide open stuff we do. And so like I said, the technology and the bikes have gotten extremely better, whether it's been here or not.
Well, we all underbiked with cross bikes for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, like you could throw on, people are like, well, 33s is what UCI said. You put 35s on, you're breaking the rules, but it was fun. Yeah. But, I mean,
you also can't hug after a race these days. That's what the UCI said.
But
so.
It's elbow bumps.
But what was cool is, like, as brands realized there was a nugget of cool, or there's just something outside of the norm that was there. And it's like all the brand, it's funny because whenever we work with a brand, we're like, well, what do you have for a gravel bike? And that's our mantra. I mean, at the bike shop here.
Well, now we get called and they're like, did you know we have a gravel bike?
Oh, really?
We're kind of getting known as that, and I love it.
Yeah, underbiked was what it was called, years past, but now bikes have evolved to the fact that it's not underbikes, but it's really cool to push the limits on where you can go with these things.
So I guess I could ask this all the way around. Let's say there's a newbie listening, but most of the people who listen to the show aren't newbies. So is everybody on the same wheel size in this room?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
No.
Who's on 700Cs? Anybody? I've got the majority of the hand is on 700Cs.
Well,
I'm not on
Corey,
those.
you got what? You got 2.
Yeah.
You got both sides.
Yeah.
I just got the 700.
I want 700s. Yeah, exactly.
I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed.
How so? It
It just seems faster and they roll better.
Yeah.
Just road riding more, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, I just got them, so I'm not.
You're still
I'm still experiencing that.
Who's on 27s?
That would be me.
5s. You are.
I have a new theory on that. One, anything lower than a 48 is thin and pizza cutter, in my opinion.
Okay.
So
He's quite a snob about it.
Yes, I am.
No elitism here.
I'm willing to meet anybody out for a fight. No, I like 650B 48s or wider, or 700 by 50s. I like them wide.
Yeah.
Comfy.
We could spend 3 hours talking about tire selections right out of just right there.
But it comes the beauty to me about these bikes, it's comfort. Okay. You got to set aside the preconceptions about weight and speed. Just, you don't have to throw them out. You don't have to throw them out the window. Just set them aside and realize that one of the most
cyclists to quit worrying about 2 of the biggest things that they worry about.
I don't care how fast I'm going. I don't care my speed. And someone asked me once what watts I've done. I've never once had a power meter, so I couldn't tell you.
On the flip side, though, I've put a ton of power meters on gravel bikes recently.
You have.
And this is the evolution in which it's going. I mean, there's we do some brands where I think BMC is the fastest gravel bike that's out there right now. And then you take the Chamois Hagar that I think it's the most capable gravel bike at this point. So there's so many ends of the spectrum where, there's a need for power meters because there's a need for people to
Everybody's got it. That's the beauty of gravel. It's all encompassing.
It's
everybody has a chance to do it. But for the reason that I choose the wheel size, I like wide comfort. I want to be comfortable. That's the end game. Comfortable. Okay. I can ride as long as I want. Comfortable. I may not get there as fast as anybody else, but I'll get there.
Now, I've ridden with you, and I'm going to call out a little bullshit here because I've ridden with you, especially like Midnight Century, where it's like I'm barely hanging on to your wheel, and I've been staring at your ass the last 4 hours because that's all I can hold. Comfort. Bullshit. Bullshit.
It's the C word. It's comfort. I'll be honest. Like
there's another C word I'm thinking of, and it's competitive. And then let's be honest.
Okay. So Morgan and I picked up Open in 2018, and Open was one of the first brands we picked up that truly encompassed gravel as its main brand.
Sure.
My longest pure road ride has been the Chafe 150, and I did it on 650s by 48s. And I do remember pulling up the start line and people looking at me like I was weird. I didn't know better. Morgan and I were just trying to hang on, and then Morgan took off. And then the best thing that ever happened to me was a flat tire because I do not like riding around other people I don't know.
We lost the train.
We lost the train. But The biggest thing that I learned about this whole ride was that over 150 miles, 48s are pretty damn comfortable. I may not be as fast as anybody. I was just fine. I was happy. But no, it's comfort. To me, it's comfort. And that's the thing I love about gravel bikes is that you've got people that constantly complain about never having a comfortable bike. Gravel bikes can do that. Ride all day. Don't care how fast you're going. I mean, no one actually, unless you're racing, how many people really sit down and go, hey, I was doing 17 miles an hour. Well, shoot, I was doing 14 miles an hour. I'm going to do 14 miles an hour most of the time anyways. Doesn't matter what I'm on.
I immediately get home and look at my Strava and I look at my average speed. And I didn't race today, but I do like to go, oh, I PR'd that. Oh, hey, right.
It's ingrained.
But once again, comfort trumps
I was joking that I'm
all.
trying to lose weight, and I'm really worried when I get below 200 pounds, I'm not going to be in that pound group anymore. So I'm going to be in another completely different competitive realm, and I don't want that. I like being
Just
in
have
the
some more
top 10
beer.
of the heavy
It'll help.
guys. Yeah, exactly. So it's freaking me out. Yeah. All right. I don't want to draw any lines in the sand here, but and this is open to everybody. So yeah, grab a mic if you want to. Tell me the difference between a gravel cyclist and a mountain cyclist. Mountain bike rider, gravel rider.
Verbiage,
Yeah.
language.
And I don't want to, I this show's all about the two-wheeled lifestyle.
Well, shit,
but let's
I
be
ride
honest,
mountain
we're all
bikes,
different.
I ride gravel
yeah,
bikes.
I do too. Yeah.
And I feel like, sometimes when you get into one group or the other,
Yeah.
you gotta learn the lingo.
You got to change a little bit,
Yeah.
don't you? Yeah.
It's either you gotta bra a little bit, or
TTB.
you can start talking about,
Show up with a lit cigarette in your mouth.
are you a Stages man or a cork? So,
That's why they make fun of me about bike races. I have no idea what you just said.
what do you guys think? I don't know.
Anybody? Yeah, you gotta speak into the big red clown noise.
I don't. I think some of the gravel bike riding we do is similar to the mountain bike riding I do.
But do you ever get looks like from some of the mountain guys who are going, "What are
Yeah.
you doing out here?"
Yeah.
We were just talking about this the other day.
And I think in a lot of cases, maybe we keep up with them,
Yeah.
It's kind of scary sometimes how fast we ride the mountains.
Yeah.
The climbing is easier, that's for sure. And the we can actually get to the mountain without driving our car too. That's
Yeah.
nice too.
Yeah. I remember John Tomac back in his days when he spent some time riding the race in the road. He'd show up at like Norba National or World Cup races with drop bars. And I'm like, was John Tomac really technically the first in the gravel scene? Would we, because he crossed genres there. He's that guy who did that. What's the difference between a roadie and a grody?
Attitude.
Attitude. Okay.
I think at least for now, the what's the word you use? Elitism.
Yeah. Sure.
You haven't shown up to gravel fondos or races yet with a team van with the same sunglasses on, the same kit on. Not yet. I think it's there.
Yeah.
Acceptance. That's another
Sure.
one that's the big difference. I've been to some road races where I had no place being there just because of my skill level, and I was promptly greeted that way. So,
Yeah.
so I would say, yeah.
Well, I just watched a YouTube video with Dirty Kansas, the full meal deal, the Dirty Kansas,
Yeah.
when it was Dirty Kansas.
Yeah, sure.
Team EF did it. Finney's boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he said it was the hardest ride he's ever done, ever. And those are roadies. I mean,
Yeah.
those are European pros.
Yeah.
Not saying it's harder, but it's different.
Well, and you look at the guys who are coming from the European scene, Pete Stetna, those kind of guys who are coming over and they're doing it full time. It's a draw. There's an allure to it because, yeah, sure, it's brutal, but you also get to go home at the end of the month, and there's some perks there, I think.
And part of it with gravel, with road racing, there's the whole cat thing. And so
Yeah.
if you started early and you moved up and you stayed fit, it makes sense. But with gravel, if you make the selection, you make the selection. There isn't this whole elite tiers going into it. If you're good, you're good. If you're not, you're not. It kind of self-selects itself out. So it's more democratic in a sense, the way people race it and ride it. So
I like that,
Yeah. It's almost seems like, Road's kind of dug itself into this hole a little bit, especially with the road race crit time trial formats that they're stuck with right now. I think they got to figure something out because, as you say, if I sign up for, I've said many times on the show, if I sign up for a crit, if I get dropped in the first 3 laps, somebody's going to pull me. My day's over. I just spent $50 for 3 laps, and a guy in a really ugly USA Cycling shirt told me to go home. Wow, that's bullshit. If I sign up for a gravel race, I can ride the course. Sure, I get dropped, but I'm still competing against myself, against others, and things like that. And I think that's why triathlon has done so well, too, because you're racing against the course more than you necessarily might be against somebody else.
And I think that's why you see more numbers in them, too, right now.
Sure.
Because I think, the road racing, it'll come back. I mean, and it should. I hope it does. But, when you go to a state championship and you're in a cat whatever and there's 3 other people.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you go to a gravel Gran Fondo and you've got 103 people. I think it's more appealing because of that. Maybe strength in numbers is the idea. But, it's hard to say right now.
Should gravel stay independent? I mean, of course, USA Cycling is probably staring down the barrel at it. Me, I'm a guy who's trying to put on bike races, and you have to. Am I going to have to go through USA Cycling? Should I have to go through USA Cycling? I don't want to bash on them.
How would you keep it independent?
How would you keep it independent?
Or make it non-independent? What's the pros and cons to each?
I think that. And I'm going to just kind of spitball and throw some devil's advocate things out here. Going with a governing body allows for the concepts of, first of all, race organization, officiating, insurance purposes, and things like that. Then you have the tier level where you have world championships. You have all these types of things where these events are sanctioned, so to speak. The bad side of that is it's controlled. It's now restricted. There are specific rules. There are things like that. There are probably categories welcoming into the situation.
I think the beauty of it, and it's kind of like road racing was. Maybe this is the evolution to where they should sanction it.
Yeah.
The racers that want to race all day long. The people that want to just go ride and adventure, you still got that beauty. Yeah. So I think it could be a two-sided coin still. Especially
when you're talking about the big races, the Unbound Gravel and stuff like that you can go, you can sign up. I'm going to do the big 200, right? You did the 200.
They have the XL, which is 350.
Jesus.
But you have to qualify for that one.
Yeah.
Just sign up.
Is there a mental exam of some sort involved,
right?
man? 350. Jesus.
That'd be a tough 350.
You go to that, and you watch Lachlan Morton fly off the front of that field, or Pete Stetton and all those guys going off. You're going, wow, that Ted King, all these guys. You're going, holy shit, that's impressive. Maybe I'll see them at the hotel tonight, because you're gonna go, you're gonna do your event, and you're still busting your butt out there, and it's almost like it's a competitive fondo if we're gonna compare it to road, where you can still race against the course or against your buddies, but.
And I think it's important to have that because it's going to encourage more people to get into this, what we call genre of gravel. And there's nothing wrong with racing or being competitive. And I think it might be something that drops a lot of the elitism. It might be something there's eventually 2 separate groups, the casual and the competitive.
Talk to me about the evolution of bikes, about how the bike has changed since the first one's coming out in a very similar to a cyclocross to this nollie that I have noticed you guys ride, and almost looks like a mountain bike with drop bars.
Ooh, that is a sweet machine.
No toe
the first and the biggest technology that I think you can look at is tire clearance, wheel size and tire clearance,
and no toe overlap.
Yeah, we have
that's a pet peeve in the shop. It's written in stone.
Yeah, to where when you're turning technically on single track, real tight switchbacks, you start hearing that thump and shaving the toes off of your shoes.
Yeah.
I think bikes are getting better and better that way with longer wheelbases while still maintaining. I mean, it's technology that goes from road to mountain to gravel. Things are progressing in a very proper way because of that. But okay.
No, longer wheelbase means we're going to lose some of that nimble handling, though.
Yeah, a little
right?
short, snappy stuff,
Sure.
you bet. Yeah. But what you are going to gain is more technical on some of the tighter stuff, comfort, like Josh was talking about, over the long haul, and then the ability to get wider and bigger tires on, which is kind of people will always argue saying, hey, isn't this hardtail mountain bikes? But it until you've ridden one religiously, it's not.
I mean, we get people come in and like, I just want to ride all day. It's a very open-ended question, but I mean, I don't know of a better bike to go out, whether it's purely paved, all gravel, or mix, to spend all day. If your butt can handle that, it really comes down to how your body holds up. These bikes will just keep you going as long as possible.
Well, I think Luther would be the one to ask on this too, because he is technically sound on road, and he's had several different gravel bikes at this point too.
I'm going to walk this red nose over.
He's working. He's working the crowd, man. He's walking around with a line. Yeah, he's like,
oh wait,
Just
red
how
nose over
technology
sooner.
influence like the gravel stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's the tire clearance, it's the width of the wheels now are just phenomenally wide. So the traction you can hold through corners has changed dramatically the last few years. The bottom brackets lower than it used to be. Disc brakes were huge.
oh yeah.
Instead of the old canny brakes on the cross bikes.
Yeah, and the shorter
Pat,
drops.
don't you still have one of those?
The shorter drops. So it seems to be all these incremental things really add up to just it becoming more efficient and proficient, and at being able to do everything from on the road. It's not as fast as a road bike, but it's pretty close. I mean, you're not going to win a sprint.
Aerodynamics come into play now
Your
anymore.
average is going to be pretty close, depending on what gravel bike you have, and it can switch back.
Still can't catch you on a climb, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. There you can. I mean, this one bike to rule them all thing that I remember we've talked about. It's like the more I pay attention, the more I'm going to realize that sure you can, but I'm not going to probably go and do the Boise Crit downtown, Twilight Crit with the pros on a gravel bike. Let's be
and shit, as a bike shop owner, I don't want one bike to rule them all.
Great point. Very good point. Yeah, you do need multiple bikes. Yeah, or at least multiple wheels. And the evolution of disc brakes has made that so much more possible. It used to be my first gravel bike. You were saying, mine had canny brakes. Jack, who's on the show all the time, is on that bike now. No, but yeah, you wouldn't have been able to do that. You wouldn't be able to swap out everything like you can now. Throw a good set of road wheels on and keep up on a weeknight ride or on a Tuesday night World Championships with all the people who are completely lycra'd out and things like that. So, okay.
But if you do, you're a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got that going for you. Yeah, exactly. Guys, you suck, man. I hung with you. My kid's still on a steel gravel bike, and
His bones still bend though. He's young.
Yeah, well,
and he's badass.
He can buy his own bikes. At that point of that. What are I almost brought up tire pressure, but I realized that could possibly turn into a slugfest in terms of tire pressure.
You'd be surprised. Actually, ours is I call it the grapefruit test. You squeeze it. And then we kind of look at each other like, should we add air?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's not as scientific as you think, at least with us. And maybe other shops may have a rule on the board. I add air at least, I don't know, every other week.
We're going to be like, shit, Josh is dragging ass today. What's
And
going on? He's
I
like,
wonder
"Oh,
why, like,
12
8
PSI."
pounds. Yeah.
I feel really, it's slow, but I feel comfortable. Oh, that's why.
yeah.
Nah, at least amongst our groups, we don't really concern too much about that. It's honestly a squeeze test. Like,
Yeah.
It's really hard because you'd have to get on and off your bike too many times within our rides because it's pavement, it's single track, it's gravel, it's gushy, it's hard pack, it's so
also working in a bike
is-
shop. You forget to work on your own bike. You're like, people ask, "Why does your bike squeak?" Well, it's because yours doesn't.
Yeah. Why does your knees crack? You know. I don't know.
That's funny because I use that that Silka calculator, and like it does your bike weight, body weight, width.
Once
like,
again, we don't like
breaks
riding
it
bikes
down,
with
so
Luther.
I'm like religious
Can't
by
get-
that thing.
I want that
mean,
calculator.
It's free, man.
Yeah.
But we never
I gotta
see
find that,
him.
man. They're
Once
serious.
again, at the start and at
the
the end.
guesswork out.
We have a beer at the end. That's all we with Luther.
I put way
Winner
too much
buys
in.
the beer.
Yeah, I still put way too much in. I've always been, coming up as a roadie as a kid, was always, 100 pounds, just boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to cyclocross races, and I'm putting.
Do you still ride sew-ups?
No, I don't.
All right,
Yeah, I
well,
don't.
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
I can't
with
afford them.
Tubeless.
Jesus.
Well, tubeless makes it a lot easier to kind of fudge what you're thinking. Like
And
there's
run
been
lower
times,
pressure.
I've been on a ride. It's got to be like 30. Oh, it's 20. Whoops. But I just kind of find that pressure where I don't mash my rims, but I also feel like I'm actually can keep up. If I'm way off the back, which I normally am,
Bullshit.
only on climbs. Then I know I need to add a little pressure, but I don't. At least with I think what we like to dispense amongst our group of riding is just have fun and don't overthink it. I mean, honestly, I don't overthink my air pressure. I squeeze it and I'm like, it'll work today.
Yeah.
And it may not, but at least I'm out in the sun or in some cases the dark out in the middle of nowhere.
It's probably the most tricky bike to determine tire pressure, though.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think there's been times that I waffle between 30 and 40, which is a really big range of waffling. It's a big waffle.
Okay.
Delicious waffle.
Yeah, big. Yeah. Extra Belgian waffle. Yeah, Luther, I'm with you. I want the calculator. I want to know exactly the terrain I'm on. I want the pressure. But
Is this
Is
the
that an
reason
app?
you go faster than the rest of us?
probably.
Might be.
One
might
of
be.
1,000.
Yeah. Well, I think of cyclocross, man. That's almost like a secret at races. People aren't telling you what area pressure you putting in, and they're like, "Why don't you just
Fuck
sleep with my
you."
wife, you asshole?" I'm not telling you that. It's like Jesus.
Then you can chuckle at the guys running like 80 psi in there,
Yeah, that was me. That's why I got my ass handed to me at a lot of cyclocross races back.
Like,
in the
why
day.
can't I corner very well?
Yeah,
This is weird.
exactly, Yeah. Oh, pinwheel. Oof. What are some of the things cyclists seem to neglect when it comes to, first of all, riding techniques, but second of all, bike care and things like that that you
Lube
guys see coming through the door?
Your chain.
Lube your chain. That's the simplest. That's the thing that most people. All levels. You see it. I mean,
We've seen a lot of rusted chains recently.
Like, non-movable and wondering why their bike makes noises. And
Lube
and the obvious
your
shouldn't be
chain.
there for somebody that doesn't look at them all the time. I think that's just part of knowing what to do. But yeah, clean and lube your chain. Check contact points.
Yeah.
Anything your body hits, your butt, your hands, all that stuff, check them. And especially when you get into like a gravel or a mountain scene to where vibration becomes huge, stuff's going to wiggle loose.
Yeah. Check your skewers
all
or
that
your
stuff,
through
yeah.
axles,
yeah.
things like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the biggest things I can tell people, it doesn't matter if it's gravel, road, mountain, commuter, hybrid, cruiser through the neighborhood, lube your chain. It'll make a huge difference, and put proper air pressure. I mean, proper air pressure, the tire tells you what to kind of work with.
Yeah.
That's a great I mean, if you're
Wait, you were just grapefruit a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, okay. But honestly,
Now he's going to the calculator. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, most of the manufacturers put a kind of a pressure range on there.
yeah.
If you don't have a feel for what works for you, that right there gives you a good guide. That'll make your ride experience a lot easier and simple.
Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind, these bikes see more weather patterns than any other bike. Like a road's a little more cut and dry. These guys are going to hit mud, dust, dirt, whatever. So frequency is another thing. Check your stuff more often because you're just going to, there's there's more things you're going to encounter on these
Yeah.
bikes.
I find myself cleaning my bike before a ride, and I'm going, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Because I might as well just clean it when I get home, because it's, you leave the door, and
I
your
like to let
goal
the
is
mud
that
and
your bike's
harden
going to get
up
dirty.
because it chisels off easier. But I ride a tie bike, so I mean, there you go. It's indestructible, kind of.
Garden sprayers are really a cool tool to have at home for that.
The weed killer.
Yeah.
The weed killer.
ones.
Just the little hand pump guys you're talking about?
Oh yeah,
No
just
shit.
Pressurize with a little
Really?
water.
I've just been, when your hose is hosed. Yeah, exactly. Okay. How about riding techniques and things like that? I know a lot of people who are like, they're wary of gravel because they always see gravel roads and they think, oh, it's just going to be a full day of chatter bumps. What kind of riding techniques would you say that people they neglect when they first start out?
A little front heavy,
Yeah.
too heavy on the handlebar position, tight grip, stuff like that. And that's kind of, I don't know, it's going to be a vague answer no matter what, because these bikes are so versatile with the difference in terrains. You're going to hit single track. Your technique's going to be different there. You're going to be on brake bumps out on gravel roads. Like Luther rides a ton out in the Palouse area. What would you say on the brake bumps your biggest technique for descending is? Yeah, avoid them.
Avoid them.
Yeah, avoid them. I mean, yeah, it's so varied
said,
with gravel. There's like all these different distinctions from where it's almost like chip seal to where it's like loose rocks to where it's sand to where it's. I mean, it really forces you to be a good bike handler, or you're gonna eventually crash and die probably. I mean, so it's like,
It's like falling on a cheese
so
grater,
it's like
man.
you just kind of have to get better at your body's like I don't
Go
wanna die,
baggy
so I'm gonna,
versus
like,
Lycra.
Get better at this thing you keep forcing me to do. So
Multiple layers in clothing.
Yeah.
Well, and you're starting to see, going back to technology, you're seeing like the BMC Earths, the unrestricted. They do a 10 mil elastomer in the back to kind of soak up those bumps. Aluminum bikes with a carbon fork for shock dampeners. Lower tire pressure potentially. That's going to help you in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of intangibles that go into that.
All right, I have 3 final questions. Number 1 is please cast your vote, and this can be everybody in the room, one at a time. It's a multiple choice. Aero bars on gravel bikes. The answers are yes, no, or hell no.
Fuck no.
Fuck no. I like.
I will do fuck no also.
Fuck. I've got the guys who work
Sorry, Justin.
and running the
I love you
shop
like a brother.
are on the fuck nos.
the UCI's banned everything, including the missionary position, and they haven't banned this, so they need to ban this. I'm just saying.
I love it.
I'll say hell fuck no.
Really? Do we have a consensus?
I just had to try to top him.
Yeah, that's a hell no.
Oh, you guys just warms my heart. I was concerned for a second there.
No, I love Justin.
Yeah.
I know he loves his
Justin's a
handlebars.
big listener to the show, and stuff like that.
Justin's one of the
He's
greatest.
a dear friend.
He's one of the greatest prophets of gravel.
Yeah.
I would call him a prophet of gravel.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There's no place for tri-bars on
but-
a gravel bike.
Okay.
I unfortunately am not in that camp of putting aero bars on my bike. Partly because I like a naked bar.
Yeah.
I like to look at its sexy curves just by itself.
Wow. I got
Yes, and I do
just
mean
need
sexy.
a moment to take that in. That is a naked,
Very, very,
sexy
very
bar.
sexy.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, this is the guy. Justin knows when I'm busting his chops. It's like his hair on the back of his neck stands up somewhere, and he hasn't even listened to the show yet, but he knows I'm busting his chops. The guy's got biscotti boxes on his fork blades, but he's got aero
Which
bars.
I'll be honest, that is one of the most genius ways to store.
A
camping
week's
at-
worth of food.
Oh, I think that's amazing because
It's a
why
zombie
go-
apocalypse bike.
I'm all for DIY, bike camping, bike.
Yeah.
Well, Justin takes bike camping to the next level once again.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
He's
Well, and he's very good at jumping that particular
Yeah,
bicycle
um,
without yard
if you
sailing
want to know if
everything
a
that's
bike
in
will
his back.
handle anything, just give it to Justin.
Yeah. For those people who have no clue, I mean, I've got probably people listening in England to this show going, "Who the hell is Justin?" You probably have a Justin in your group, probably
Yeah,
somewhere. The quirky guy who doesn't give a shit but is stronger than hell.
Yeah,
Yes.
Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
you can ride. I've never met anybody that can ride as long as Justin can
Oh, yeah.
comfortably. He goes his own pace, And he's also probably the most welcoming personality on a gravel ride. If you want to get into gravel and you run into Justin on a ride, I guarantee you'll be hooked for life.
And he, by the way, he'll go whatever pace you want.
And you'll go home with a sticker.
Yeah, several stickers.
Yeah,
depending whatever's going
Gravel
on right
Brain
now.
Trust is the big sticker. Right?
Gravel.
No, sorry, Justin, but no arrow bars on a gravel bike.
Okay,
I'm sorry, man.
Thank you. Okay, that was that question. Second question was, is beer an integral part of cycling, of gravel cycling?
Fuck yes.
Fuck yes. Okay.
Definitely yes. It should be.
It's a cultural thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyone else in the crowd?
I
mean, it's a massive crowd here right now.
It is gigantic. Yeah.
I'll just say that riding makes a beer taste much better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a social element of it. Yeah.
Well, I think what it is.
Although
is
you
like
guys have a whiskey bottle
It's
over
the
here
after
open.
talk, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like, hey, it's something, a conversational piece that you can relish the achievements of the day. So yeah.
Exactly.
On the show, I call it the pre and the post. It's a good cup of coffee beforehand, and it's a really good beer after.
Oh, amen to that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my last question is tell me about, for those people who aren't up to speed on the culture here in Spokane, about what makes this a great place to ride gravel bikes. What makes this a shitty place to ride gravel bikes? What is it about
1,000
Spokane?
miles of unpaved roads in this county alone.
1,000 miles of unpaved roads.
I mean, and that's not even including the single track and the other weird ass shit that we find because one of our friends says, "Hey, you should check this out."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden gems around here. I think you can go to any point in Spokane County, Spokane Valley, and look around to any of the peaks. They're all very inviting and rideable for gravel bikes at one way or another.
If you live in Spokane, cool. If you don't, wait a few years to come.
I was going to say, should we not be letting the secret out?
Stay away.
Is there a
Stay away.
Is it a secret, or do we?
There's
think
zombies
that
and aliens attacking right now.
Yeah, daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's just the diversity of like animals you randomly come across is crazy. Like moose, coyotes. There was like a guy living in the woods who hadn't seen a human being. Like, I'm serious. He was like startled, had no shirt on, and it was just, I mean,
Luther, didn't you hit a bear up on?
Yeah, there was a
Phillips?
bear.
Yeah.
A guy was like target shooting down a trail once.
For those who do not live in the area, don't come.
Really?
So I mean, it's
Really?
just
I've seen a mountain lion in my quests out
I saw
there,
one of
which
those,
scared the
yeah.
shit out of me.
Yeah.
Fortunately, well, the mountain lion fortunately looked at me in the road, and he couldn't figure out what was going on. You know, the bike and the person and everything was kind of. So he took off into the trees. Thank God.
were you on
I
your
figured
gravel
he was
bike?
just reading the menu.
You were on a gravel bike?
I was on a mountain bike.
Oh, see, you were total food. But if you were on a gravel bike, you would have been like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?"
What's up, bro?
Natural repellent.
Yeah, right on. Well, you guys, first of all, congratulations on 4 years.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah. And thanks for your time, man. Thanks for all you guys do. And it's a cool culture. As you guys talk about the cartel. Tell me about the cartel before we
Okay,
finish
so
out
we
here. Because I can't just say cartel and everybody's going like, wait, what?
Oh,
So
Mel
we,
hears this.
we classify these rides as adventure rides anymore, and not just gravel. And
Okay.
for the simple purpose of, we were on a ride out in kind of the Cheney area, and we had to, for lack of a better term, circumnavigate some barbed wire fences.
Hop.
Yes. And so she was like, well, this is kind of like a drug run, like a cartel kind of thing. And Josh and I look at each other, we're like, MoJo Cartel. And we've since branded it. It's become a thing, and I think it honestly makes sense. So you'll see some things out there, Cartel AF, because a lot of rides we do are Cartel AF.
Not every ride, but
Yeah.
Some of them. Yeah. and it's kind of one of those things. So we can't take credit for it, but we have a very dear friend that rides with us, and she coined the phrase.
Okay.
And so that's where it comes from.
And there's a website coming, right?
Yes, there is a website coming. We're going to do a lot of videos and stuff, some clothing, apparel, stickers, all kinds of fun stuff. So
And also, don't forget, gravel is king.
Yeah.
Or if you're a lady, is Queen.
Queen. Okay. Well, you guys, I say on this show a lot, don't order your shit online. Go to an LBS. Go to your local bike shop and
Thank you.
support people trying to do what they're trying to do.
Thank you so much for that.
Well, yeah, and it's always fun coming in here. So if you're ever in the Spokane area, or if you're in the Spokane area, this is part of the advertising part of the show. Get your ass in here and say hi to the guys, and the mics might not be on, but the conversation will be just like it just was. So hopefully we're going to have more of these to talk, especially in terms of topics. I think I could talk about tire pressure alone, and I can't believe that an audience
Remember,
would.
grapefruit.
Yeah, and I think an audience would be like, "Fuck yeah, I want to hear about tire pressures. I want to know the Silka the gauge."
We're gonna get some gauges in here just to
Yeah.
devil's advocate on our side.
I've come here when you guys are setting up a set of wheels for me, and you had the pump outside the bathroom, and the wheel was in the bathroom. So when it exploded,
That's called I'm scared to blow my
The
various
sealant.
parts of my body off.
Yeah.
But,
or the sealant all over.
we actually have sealant on the ceiling in several parts of the
Sealing
shop.
Once again, it's a crime of passion. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, right on. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for your time.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that does it for the end of our first episode of the MoJo Diaries right here on the Packfiller Cycling Network. Be sure and like, subscribe, tell a friend, do all that kind of stuff that all the social media experts tell you to do. And while you're at it, go and check out Morgan and the gang themselves out at 1405 North Argonne Road in Spokane Valley, Washington. MoJo Cycleries, or you can check them out, look them up on the web. Look for the soon upcoming mojocartel.com. Until then, mojocyclery.com is where you can find all things gravel. And not to mention, they got a lot of other stuff. Great shop, great friends, and members of the Packfiller.